as crisp, but maybe that's why. But I mean, you said you're coming through fine.
Okay, I think I'm on my Ethernet. My Wi-Fi's still on, but it should default to my connection.
Right? That's what happens with me. I just turn my Wi-Fi off, otherwise it just doesn't.
Yeah, which is what I normally do.
Even though I told it to.
Started everything and it's on my Wi-Fi. Normally I have it turned off, but I've already started everything, so I don't want to just flick off my Wi-Fi now and break everything.
Oh, I see. It'll be fine.
I'm pretty sure I am. I'm not getting any weird numbers. I mean, yeah. Let us know if the stream's lagging, if anyone's actually in here.
Okay. And after I had a look last week at the show as well, when I after the point that I adjusted my audio settings. Yeah, it seemed fine after that.
Why'd you turn that on and then not mention anything?
I did it ages ago, and I don't know, because like for the first 50 episodes I had that on, and then I was like, oh, this is probably stupid. I'll turn it like automatic stuff. I'll just turn it off, and then I turned it back on because it was fine in the first. I don't know, man. I just thought it'd be fine. Guess I'm wrong.
It was
Won't
weird
do that again.
Because if you told me you did that like a couple of weeks ago, you were like, hey, I turned this setting on. Just FYI. Let me know if it sounds any better or any worse. Then I could have pinpointed that was the issue. You just turn it on and said nothing. So I think it's lag. I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know, man.
Flicked on your end.
Lapse in judgment.
Right.
Okay, you're on chat duty if that's a gay again.
Yeah, my mic's kind of covering it, but it should be fine. Yeah.
Whoa, this is cool. The back of my pen works on my iPhone.
It is kind of cool.
Why? Why?
I don't know. You got one of those iPhone pens. Nice.
I guess so. It's from one of my old jobs. So it doesn't make any sense. Okay. That's strange. That's pretty high, man.
A bit of a poggers moment.
I would say so. All right, should we get the show on the road?
Yeah, can do. I think we're all good to go. I could intro jingle.
Yes, please.
All right. Go.
Great. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the 90th episode of the Quick Resume podcast. We've got a lot for you today. There's been developments with ABK. Well, when isn't there? But the actual ones this time, ones of actual importance. Will the EU pass it? Will Xbox be sold off? That was a funny thing that happened as well. Probably won't talk about that because it's kind of overdone at this point, but that was a funny conversation that went around. I don't know, maybe we will. Are Fable and Hellblade not Hellblade. Fable and Perfect Dark not coming until 2025. These are all very interesting topics. If you're an Xbox fan, you're probably on the verge of, throwing yourself into the abyss, like the rest of us, So welcome, to this happy show. My name's Deck. That's Tim over there.
Hi everyone.
Hi. And we'll be with you hopefully for the next sort of hour and a half to chat you through all of this good stuff.
Goodies.
Tim, how's it going, man? What's happening? How's it hanging?
Yes, it's hanging all right, man. It's pretty good. Can't complain from my end. I found a little bit more time to play some video games this week. Work's just been kind of slamming me the last couple of weeks, and I've been getting back late, and not in that way. Don't worry, it's all ethical.
Is that illegal? Yeah, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, and I've just been getting
ethical
back
slamming,
late, and then sort of cooking, and those sort of evenings. So by the time you've finished eating, you look at your phone and it's 9 o'clock, and your heart just fucking sinks.
I guess I wake up and do the same thing tomorrow.
Exactly. Yeah. So I've been going.
Threw myself to the wood chipper.
Only I had a wood chipper. It'd be the easy way out.
I think that is the easy way out. I think that's very difficult and painful.
Easy way out. No, it's not. You die very quickly if you put yourself into a...
Oh, you're just going to go in head first?
Yeah. Why would I go in feet first?
I don't know. I guess it's quite a scary thought.
It's scary.
What if it like jams though?
Feet first.
Oh, I mean, I guess.
Yeah,
but what if you change your mind?
First, yeah, exactly. If it jams, it's not
Do
going
you
to
think
jam on the first slice through your brain, is it? You're dead.
It might do. It depends what's going on up there, you know.
I have got quite a dense brain that the blade might break off.
Yeah. That's what my dad always said.
Yeah. So
Sorry.
yeah, no, but yeah, nothing like new. To be honest, I haven't been really playing anything new. I've just been playing Midnight Suns, and a little bit of Overwatch as well. We played a little bit of Overwatch last night. Got some rank done. And that's about it. To be honest, I haven't got round to playing that new game that dropped into Games Pass this week. But I do want to because it's being reviewed pretty well. Another shit hot game right out the gates into Games Pass for Xbox. It's been a pretty crazy couple months to start the year for Games Pass.
It has. No doubt.
It's been pretty bonkers. So, but yeah.
I assume you're talking about Wolong, yeah?
Yeah, talking about Wolong. Yeah.
Wolong. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because that literally came out literally like a few days ago. Did it come out on the Tuesday? I think. I don't know.
I think so. Yeah, I think it did.
But yeah, so I do want to get around to that, possibly today, because I don't think I'm doing too much after this podcast. I do need to do some work stuff, MacBook related. Hopefully, I can sort that out and finally get you a MacBook.
Yes.
But yes, so that's basically been me this week. Yeah, and also hi Joaquin. Hello.
Hi, Joaquin.
I hope you're doing
Hi,
well,
buddy.
mate.
Yeah.
But yeah, what about you, Dan? What about you?
I've been playing Last of Us Part 2 and Overwatch. That's it. That's been me.
Nice.
I don't know if I just tweeted before the show because I was playing it last night. I was thinking this like the audio design in that game is off the charts. It's like incredible. It's really good. Although I don't know if it's the mixing or if it's just because the design is very authentic, but there are times where like everything's fine, everybody's speaking fine, like all the volume seems fine, and then I fire a gunshot and I like shit myself. I like pull the trigger and I'm like, I scare myself because I'm like the gunshot was just so loud, it like burrowed into my ears.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's just good sound design, right? Because a gun would do that in real life. Like guns literally are that loud. You have to wear like fucking earplugs and shit when you use guns. Like,
yeah. I don't know. I just don't know if it's intentional because I mean, if every game did that, it would be deaf by now.
Yeah.
Or worse. So yeah, there's that. Yeah, I've been playing Overwatch, which has been good. I need to finish that battle pass.
What level are you out of interest? How far behind am I?
I'm like 55.
Oh shit! I'm like 11. How'd you get to 55? I swear it only came out like a couple weeks ago.
It's been like a month. I mean, our other friends on like 70 or 60 something.
Damn.
I've just been logging on when I can for a couple of games, like on a daily basis. You know how it works. You know how they get you. Get you on the treadmill, force you onto games you don't want to play, all that fun stuff.
It's true. Yeah, I do need to get in a habit of doing that, even if it's just for a couple games. Because I do want to finish that battle pass, even if I have to potentially pay my way to the last few bits. I just I do want that skin. I'll regret it if I don't.
He needs it.
Yeah.
That's sad, man. So nothing more to report really than what we covered last week. For the listeners and our watchers, hi. We are going to try and condense the show a little bit today. We've got a normal amount of news, I would say, maybe even quite a busy week, but we're just going to try and keep it like sort of an hour and a half, try not to go over that. So as we're coming up to the hour mark, we'll probably start trying to wrap things up. The reason for that is, we want to keep the show entertaining and we want to feel like we're flowing well. And there is a point around the hour and a half mark where we do start to like slip and we just start to, fall into motions, and it doesn't really play to our strengths. Not that we're fucking comedians or anything, but we're at our best, I think, when we're still focused. So we're just going to try that out and we'll see how we get on.
Yeah, I'd say like after like the hour 30 mark, my responses just start to become just noises, grunts or yeses or yeah. I agree. I stopped actually thinking about stuff a little bit, But yeah, we'll sort of see how it goes. But yeah.
At which point I'm on my 6th ABK store and I'm like, please, I need a break. Please. Say something, anything. Talk about
Longer shows are
pizza.
better shows, says Joaquin. Yeah, I mean,
Well,
agree. I do tend to agree, but I think an hour and a half is a pretty healthy length for a podcast. I feel like going into the 2+ hour territory and talking about stuff in detail is a bit crazy. Because you also got to bear in mind that a lot of other podcasts do have like more than 2 people and stuff like that, and that last longer. They have like 4 people or 3 people, so there's a lot more people to bounce off and a lot more things to go around. So naturally, you get more of a break between like what you're saying as well when someone else is talking. So that's why those go on a bit longer. But it's just the 2 of us. So, but yeah, chug some coffee. Joaquin said.
I mean, he's not wrong. I mean, he's not wrong, is he?
Coffee.
But
I had
you
a
know,
monster this morning. So
Jesus.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we'll give it a go. You know, we're in the experimental phase. I mean, it's pretty funny to say that at episode 90, but you know, it's small fry stuff over here at the Quick Resume podcast. So, but I guess like the thing is, like a lot of other podcasts do go on for a long period of time, and I listen to a lot of those podcasts for over a couple of days or whatever. And I just don't think that that's an area we excel in going on for those, so we'll see. I mean, if the 2 of us had more time, I'm sure we'd do maybe 2 things a week. And maybe further down the road, we could do 2 shorter shows, where one is a bit more of like a catch up and conversational, about what we're playing and what we're thinking. And then the other is like an Xbox, more of a show, so we'll see. We're just throwing around ideas at the moment, Joaquin, but we did move the show later for you. So, you do owe us one.
Yeah.
To be fair.
He's saying Rand and Jez do 4 hours and they're 2 people.
They're mental.
Can do it. Yeah, it's not a full time. You know what? I'm done with this, Wacky. Another word out of you, you're getting back. No. You're getting a timeout.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair though, it depends on life circumstances, and like obviously Jez works for Windows Central, so he kind of has he doesn't have to put as much effort into like note taking that I do throughout the week and things like that. So it really does add up for people who aren't just trying to do it. But like I say, it's fine. It's fine. Nobody needs to panic. We're not going anywhere. 90 episodes. It's a long time. Actually, I got a pop up on the analytics part of the channel saying that it's the channel's birthday today, or maybe yesterday.
Oh, okay. What's that?
Well, that confused me a bit. I guess maybe that's 2 years.
Yeah, I was about to say it can't be 1 year. It must be 2. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's crazy.
It's pretty nuts. Because how many
it
weeks
feel
are there
like
in a year?
We've been doing this
50 something?
52? 54?
I think
54?
It's like mid-50s. It's something like that.
It's 52.
Which makes sense because we've missed episodes here and there, through life things.
Yeah, that's right.
It does make sense. It's probably about 2 years. Yeah.
All right. Well, I've got a lot of honourable mentions. You know how I like to structure this. We've got honourable mentions, which are things which I don't feel like we need big discussions about, but if we do, that's fine. And then we've got the bigger news that's more directly Xbox related. First, Tim, probably one of the biggest things of the week, Elden RIng DLC got announced. You see this? Shadow of the Erd Tree?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was good. Yeah, it's nice to get like a little
nice bit of concept art.
Yeah, a little bit of like I guess because the other one was like a PvP update, right? This is like a PvE, like it's like almost I don't it's
like a paid
expansion, but yeah, it's like what they used to do in the previous Dark Souls games, like the Ashes of Ariandel and all that sort of stuff, and they what.
My man just remembers it. My man just has this ready to go. Ashes of Ariandel.
Yeah.
That's why I keep you around.
They tend to be like bangers. They make really good like expansions and stuff like that. I mean, some of the best bosses I've ever fought have come from the DLCs on top of these sort of games. So yeah, it's pretty exciting. Yeah. And it might give me the kick to come back. And not to mention they'll come with a slew of new spells and shit like that and weapons and stuff. So yeah, be really interesting. Definitely.
Yeah, I was going to say it's nice for those of us who have completed Elden Ring,
So yeah, 90 episodes going strong, but this is my life.
I think I must. I think I drive. I think I drive you to say that like every week at one point.
Yeah. Hey, I'd be Hi-Fi Rush. Proud of me.
No, I am actually. I actually am proud of you. I
And I
didn't
will
think you
beat
would finish
Midnight
that. So
Suns.
yeah, no, I believe that. I can see that game's doing things to you. It's doing things to your soul.
It's great. I want to buy things. I want to buy more characters on it.
Mm. Joaquin said, I managed to get YouTube up, so hopefully I'm not lagging. Also, hopefully my audio is all sounding good, all not cutting. We'll see. You see, Henderson said he expects the DLC to launch after Armored Core. Strange to announce DLC so early. Yeah, man. I still think this deal, because our friend said this in our WhatsApp group, I think this is a 2023 thing. Armored Core supposedly, I think, what they said, summer? No, holiday? September? I can't remember. It's that window. So I reckon the Elden Ring expansion could be like holiday. I'd be surprised if it's next year. I don't know. It just seems like a long delay between announcement and release, especially for FromSoft, who are quite good with schedules usually. Like,
I'm pretty sure this DLC will come out this year. Yeah. Very surprised if it doesn't.
Okay. Next thing, Tim. This is a little thing. Outer Worlds are doing sort of a Game of the Year edition. I wanted to speak about this because obviously, technically, this is a first party release. Hey, technically.
Is it? Oh yeah, I guess so.
Add it to the list wars. Yeah.
I guess
Spacious Choice Edition.
I guess if like Sony counts all their fucking editions of like Ghost of Tsushima and all that kind of stuff as their own releases, I guess this technically is as well. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, and so it comes with so the wrinkle is that it's still being published by Private Division, who they published it back in the day, so they're charging full price for it, which sucks. So it's like a full paid enhanced edition, but it comes with a level cap increase, like a full. It looks very nice. The trailer they had, it was like a nice visual upgrade. Obviously the 2 DLCs and some other additional stuff in there as well, but it's just like, man, if Xbox owned this, they'd have just done that for free. Yeah, and I know that in my heart.
And it's weird that it's not even like tied to Games Pass, because that's technically not free as well, like, because you pay for Games Pass. So it's even weirder that it's just not even tied to that in some way. It's just straight up, just you buy it or you don't have it. Like, that is kind of hard.
Yeah, like I said, it's the Private Division. It's because it's technically their game. Like Outer Worlds 2 will be an Xbox Game Studios game, but this is still technically owned by Private Division. So they're just doing that because they want to generate more money. But it's just one of those things that does suck.
Yeah, that does suck a little bit.
Hi-Fi Rush hits 2 million players and it gets a photo mode. Thoughts?
Doesn't surprise me, and great. Like, that game is very pretty. There actually genuinely were a couple moments where I was like, I could use a photo mode here, because I do tend to I pop into a photo mode every now and again on games. I did it on Valhalla a little bit. I did it on Final Fantasy VII. I did it on. Where else did I use photo mode on? Something quite recent. I can't remember what it was, but yeah. Regardless, I do tend to pop into these things if the game is
not pretty. Midnight Suns.
No, not Midnight. I wouldn't want to take a picture of that game. It's not.
Elden Ring? I don't know.
Not the prettiest. It might be an Elden Ring, yeah.
Does that have a photo mode?
So yeah, that's pretty cool. And yeah, the 2 million players just doesn't surprise me at all. I think the game's just a fucking banger, and yeah, it deserves every single one of those players. It's really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'm like silly or naive, or I don't know. It feels like a low number to me. I don't know. I know it hasn't been out that long, and I know it was a shadow drop. I get it. And I know it's
like everyone's cup of tea. Like I said, like rhythm games isn't. We had this discussion when you were talking about Mascot and making this like a real. And I had this exact argument where I just don't feel like. I still feel like the genre itself is relatively niche. So it's not.
Well, it kind of bums me out. That's right, and it's not. It doesn't bum me out because you were right. I mean, but I think you are. I do think maybe I overestimated the popularity, of Hi-Fi Rush. But it's hard to say. Like I said, if this was a traditional release with a marketing cycle, those numbers likely would have been higher. And maybe a sequel would bring it into the mainstream. I think there have been games like that. I'm struggling to think of any off the top of my head. I mean, I guess maybe Elden Ring, where like Souls games have been quite niche, and then Elden Ring's the one that kind of cracked that open and it, got big. So maybe like sequels could do that. But I guess I don't know. Hi-Fi Rush struck me as quite an accessible game in a number of ways, and I thought it would be something that would be really embraced by not just gamers, but like the Xbox community in particular. It doesn't look like it has been. Like even when I ask our friends, as just a broad anecdote, a lot of them, one of them started it, hasn't finished yet, and I think that's it. Nobody else has played it or really intends to. Yeah, and it's just like that's so wild to me. Like in terms of quality, this is like already a Game of the Year contender. I don't know, and none of them are particularly opposed to rhythm games. It's just a bit of a I don't know, a shrug. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a little bit weird. But yeah, I don't know, man. When you were talking about all the the marketing lead up and everything like that, I think even though this was a shadow drop, I feel like it literally just shot to the forefront of like the internet for so long, and anyone Xbox was having this slammed in their face, and you couldn't avoid it. I think the outreach of it having a shadow drop and being as good as it is was probably higher than any of the outreach it would have had with months leading up to a launch, in my opinion. I just think this is the sort of number these games hit. It's just not as mainstream as you would like or would hope. It's still a very high number. It's not gonna get, it's not gonna get COD numbers. It's not gonna get Assassin's Creed numbers. It's not going to reach any of these. So even if it is free, if it does drop into Games Pass, even if it is 90 plus, it's just one of those things, I guess.
That's just so depressing.
And there are so many people out there that they have to have hyper realistic graphics. They look at a trailer and they see a game like that and they're like, not for me. They won't even give a shit if it's a good game. Like, so many gamers are like that. So exactly. That you just don't. I think for what it is, I do agree that the number is relatively low, but I think for what it is and the game genre and the game style and everything like that, I genuinely think that's a pretty high number when you take all that into account.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's additionally low because it's not sales, obviously. Yeah. And I don't know, I kind of just would have expected it to be a bit higher. But yeah, no, I think you're right. Yeah, it does just stress me out for the reasons you just listed, that I think like a lot of people are just like, yeah, there's just this big contingent of like core gamers that will not really touch a single player game, like you said, unless it's a Last of Us or God of War clone, essentially. Horizon, a third person action adventure game with story elements and cutscenes, and maybe some light RPG elements. I don't know. It does just stress me out. I'm just going to plug my Mac in. So,
okay.
Hopefully I don't unplug anything that doesn't need to be unplugged. Okay.
1 million creations in Forge. I did it. I read off the next
That's it, man. Oh, you're so fucking good. You're such a good co-host, man.
Thanks.
I love having you here.
I love being here.
Yeah, good.
I don't really know where to go from there, though. I mean, there's been 1 million creations in Forge. Fan
Oh my god, what's happening?
Oh, you're starting to lag.
Am I still here?
You're here. Yeah, you're just kind of lagging a little bit. Did you unplug your Ethernet or something by mistake?
No, it's in my my HDMI wiggled and it fucking. Oh god damn it! I should have.
You're fine. You're back.
I haven't plugged it. I'm gonna fiddle, man. Well, look. This is I'm gonna leave it for now. Maybe we'll get through the show without any without my Mac running out of battery. 1 million creations in Forge. That's great. That's good. I guess. I guess maybe that it sort of ties into the conversation around like some of the Forge generated maps and how those are being added into Halo. I am a bit underwhelmed with how I guess maybe little permanence Forge has had into core gaming a bit. I mean, how are you feeling about Forge?
Yeah, I don't really know. I haven't been in it. I haven't really played anything in it, and I haven't really seen much floating about the internet about it. Um, is this just a fad that's caught in the past? Find out. Subscribe and find out.
Wow, yeah, I was going to say that's really sounding like the David Attenborough of the video games.
Yeah, it's fine.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, I guess
yeah.
it's two schools of thought, right? It's either the idea that Halo Infinite doesn't have a big player base and therefore it hasn't been catalyzed as well as maybe it could have, or Forge is maybe not as popular as it once was, back in the day. And I've been saying this for years that like back in the day it was a novelty to be able to create mini games and play them with your friends. Now mini games exist. I know you had things like Fusion Frenzy, but they were kind of like local games, and they were also very rare. Whereas now you have loads of, like, for example, Game Pass party games. Like, you don't have to go into Halo, especially if nobody has it installed. The massive. You don't have to just have that there. So that's the other school of thought that maybe actually, like Tim said, maybe it's just not as popular as it was because it came out at a good time in Halo 3. It was a perfect lightning in a bottle moment.
Yeah. I think, in all honesty, I think it's a little bit of both. I think Halo is struggling for players at the moment, and just hitting high numbers in any regard, whether it's in multiplayer or Forge. And I do think, I genuinely think it is just a little bit in the past, that sort of thing, because I feel like all those gamers that love Forge back in the day and spent hours in it creating stuff, playing it, and mucking around with their friends, all that generation is now old. They have jobs, they have kids. They do not have time to just sit and make Forge maps anymore. And I think this sort of thing might be lost on the newer generation as well of gamers, that just it doesn't really appeal to them. I feel like gamers' attention span is getting lower and lower. I feel like you're not going to really find that many people that are just going to want to stay and create things in Forge for 5 hours. It's kind of a weird game mode now, in my opinion. So I do think it's a little bit of both. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see, especially as we move into season 3. Forge is still technically in beta. It's very good. None of us are disputing that it's a very powerful tool. But I even think about game creation games like Dreams. That's on the PlayStation, and that's super powerful. But again, like, how niche, how popular is that really?
Yeah.
And really, I think most people don't play Forge. Most people play custom games. When we're talking about Forge, I think that's really what we mean. Because there are still some hyper committed people that are spending a lot of time in Forge and making some amazing things. Some of those maps are literally in the game, and they're really good maps, and they look great and they play great. And even beyond that, for some of the custom games are quite good. But I haven't seen all that much great stuff on the custom side. Like, I've seen some cool stuff, some of it isn't working properly. So again, maybe it's because it's in sort of the beta level, and maybe it's because, like you said, also, and maybe until season 3, the game's going to have a bit of a low population for now.
Yeah.
Okay, Sea of Thieves. You haven't talked about Sea of Thieves in a while. It's the 5th anniversary coming up on today. Yeah, today. Wow. And I think there's a preview for season 9 as well. So supposedly there's quite a lot of cool stuff crammed in there. Usually I know because I like keep on top of like the insider stuff. But I haven't done that for a while with Sea of Thieves. So I just trust the team know what they're doing. Sea of Thieves got into, I think we spoke about this, but Sea of Thieves got into the top 20 again like 2 weeks ago on Steam.
Yeah.
Bonkers. For a game that everybody called dead.
Yeah. And 5 years later, it still cracks the top 20 every now and again. Yeah. I mean, we've said it many times on the show and just off air as well. It's just the turnaround that game has had has been absolutely ridiculous. And I'm really happy for it that it continues to be great and to add new things. We've come back quite a few times across seasons. Be interesting to see if this could potentially pull us back. I I think 2023 is a pretty stacked year, so I don't think I can see myself coming back to Sea of Thieves, but it is always a great time. Plus, it's kind of only me and Deck and our friend group that actually enjoy Sea of Thieves, really. So we struggle to get a full galleon of people. So
yeah, that's all right. So sloop life is the best life anyway.
Yeah, I do love the sloop life.
Very, very quickly, we should have Ghostwire Tokyo soon, Tim. I know you probably didn't plan for this in your backlog, did you? But surprise, no official announcements, but it's coming. I think Joaquin will know. Someone in the chat will know that the the year is coming up in March. I'm pretty sure. Maybe it's early April. So I just wanted to quickly name drop that and ask how, will you be playing this, or is this going to get pushed backwards?
Yeah, I think I'll play this. Yeah, I think this would have been a toss-up for me between if Atomic Heart did a bit better, I probably would have picked that up instead. But with how Atomic Heart's been received, which isn't bad, don't get me wrong, but I feel like if I'm going to play a single player kind of action-y driven game like that, I'm probably going to go with Ghostwire now. Even though their review scores were actually probably very similar, probably like mid to low 70s. Come to think about it,
Ghostwire ended up 77.
77. Okay. But no, it always really interested me, this game. So I think I will be giving it a go. Yes. Quite excited.
Yeah, I think I will as well. Yeah. It's again another Tango game. Bethesda coming in clutch this year, like for real. Hi-Fi, Ghostwire, Redfall, Starfield.
Yeah. It's a big year for them.
Maybe something else. Who knows? Finally, Diablo, I put Diablo 3 there. Diablo 4. The recent trailer. So this is just a weird thing. The recent trailer had a special customized Xbox logo in the splash screen of the game. And I don't know if we've confirmed that Diablo 4 has marketing for if Xbox has marketing for Diablo 4. I get the sense that they do, but it was just a bit
Yeah.
What do you think about that? It was like a proper animated flaming Xbox logo.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah. It's a little sus. I think I don't know if that's just a little massive nudge to just be this is going through, or confidence on Xbox's side or something like that, or whether or not the deal goes through or not, there's plans for Xbox to do something with it anyway, purchase the marketing rights, or just do something with it, like Sony do with their games, just money hat it basically, regardless of the deal. Maybe there's some sort of contingency there. But yeah, no, I also noticed there was something about pre-ordering it and getting access to an early beta, and I was wondering how that's going to work if it potentially drops into Games Pass. I don't know if this could be a Games Pass game depending on how everything goes through, right? So how's that going to work in getting access to the early beta? That'd be quite interesting. Maybe that's something they might amend.
What do you mean? If people buy it and then the game drops into Game Pass?
Yeah, surely if the deal goes through or something like that, this would be a Games Pass game, right? I mean, that's never been confirmed. Yeah, but they've said that you have to pre-order the game to get the beta, the open beta, I think. So
there's two betas. There's a closed and an open.
Okay.
Halfway through March, I think it's so there's a week of closed followed by a week of open. So everybody can play on the second week, but you obviously get two in a row if you've done the pre-order. But I think this is an interesting point of this is in such a the release for Diablo 3 is such a difficult window. Was it 6th of June, isn't it? Yeah.
You keep saying 3.
Sorry, yeah, Diablo 4. What's wrong with me? That's such a difficult window. If it had been pushed back a couple of months, I think they'd be okay. But the complications and logistical problems, there's only a couple of games I can think of that had really late Game Pass announcements. I think Back 4 Blood was maybe one. Outriders, I remember, was one.
Yeah.
So it's not unheard of for them to just drop it late, because that's when the negotiations came together. But with a big game like Diablo, like they're not going to be able to release it and then put it into Game Pass straight afterwards. Like that creates a lot of logistical problems, especially if it's
Yeah.
close. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of in a weird like limbo area at the moment, and I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of gamers are quite confused about what's happening with it, and they're kind of waiting to see what's going on with the deal to see whether or not they should, you know, buy it or wait, or if it's Games Pass or something like that. It's a little bit weird. It'd be interesting to see if it hurts the game's, sales or like traction or something like that. It'd be quite interesting to see. Because yeah, I'm not sure about it. I'm literally like, well, what the fuck's going on? Like,
yeah, literally.
it's kind of a weird one. But yeah, no, I'm definitely excited to get my hands on that beta for sure and give that a whirl. And yeah, it'd be interesting. I think Xbox are going to have something to do with Diablo, whether or not the deal goes through or not. I think, or Blizzard itself. But
Yes,
yeah, we'll see.
definitely. Yeah, we will have to see. It would be the thing is, I think they're going to have to organize a deal independent of the acquisition to make this happen. But then that's really dangerous, I think, because technically the companies aren't allowed to collude before acquisition, so they'd have to be really careful in making sure that this was like an independent deal rather than something that wouldn't have happened. No, something that wouldn't have happened without the acquisition. That's right. Yeah. So maybe that's why. Maybe they're just trying to make sure that's all wrinkled, because it'd be a nightmare. Like, I just don't think it would get added to Game Pass for a while if the acquisition got put through like a week after the release. I think they'd be like, the optics are too bad. We're not sorting out like a whole refund program for everyone. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it could be quite an awkward one, and yeah, if that does happen, I think they're just gonna have to, just sit on it. People will just have to sort of buy it, and then they'll have to add it to Games Pass in like a year's time. Otherwise, yeah, it's just gonna make everyone who pre-ordered it as a result of not knowing, it's just gonna absolutely rage.
Yeah, that's right. All right, here's a bit of troglodyte fanboy rhetoric for you.
Oh, let's go.
Destiny Lightfall, currently a mixed 29% on Steam at the time of writing.
Wow.
Is PlayStation killing Bungie?
Yes.
Is PlayStation destroying the legacy of our beloved Bungie?
It's funny you should say that, Dave. Yes, they are. So what's you mentioned the Steam score? What's the what's the overall like open critic on it? Like, how's it being reviewed on like across all platforms? PlayStation.
I don't know actually. I haven't looked. I also saw on IGN that their review in progress was a 5 out of 10.
Ooh. A Lightfall open.
I imagine it's just in the low 70s.
Yeah,
it hasn't got a full score yet.
Open critic. Yeah, not really a full score yet. No. Why is it all like weird? Never seen like the page look like this. But yeah, basically, it's like 4 out of 5 and 8 out of 10 for someone, and then someone else gave it a 6 out of 10.
So not bad so far, but the sentiment, the user sentiment is quite bad to mix.
Okay, yeah. Which is weird because I thought it looked kind of very very interesting with what they were coming out with the new powers and finally actually revealing that enemy. They're in like the pyramid ships. It's like those white people, I think. Oh.
Yo.
They basically got like,
am I right?
There's like pale white skin.
Quick Resume podcast goes woke. Right?
Jesus, man, I didn't realize I said it until I said it. But yeah, so it's Yeah, it looked quite interesting, and I think their last few expansions have been certified bangers. I'm pretty sure the community's loved it, and the game's been on like a pretty decent high
Mhm.
for quite a while. So yeah, it's quite interesting to see because this is the first one they've released under the umbrella of Sony, right? Or was the how long have Sony owned
Ooh,
Bungie for?
that's a good question. I think this is the first one. I think that's why I made this joke in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely quite interesting. I don't, trolling aside, I don't think that has anything to do with it. I just think Destiny have
No.
released really poor expansions before as well. Um, so
Yeah.
actually, I'm pretty sure was it Destiny 2 that had like the Light of Osiris and all that sort of stuff. I think it was, wasn't it? It's Destiny 2. Like
At the very
those,
beginning, yeah.
yeah, they were all shocking. All of those DLCs were fucking
Yeah, they're
awful.
bad.
Like 5, 6 out of 10 DLCs. Like they were really, really bad. So like, it does happen. They've just been on a decent trend, and then it's just dropped now, which is just odd to see. But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm obviously being naughty by bringing this up, but I guess I'm more want to just like kind of laugh at because this happened with Xbox, right? This did happen,
mm.
and it continues to happen. Like a lot of the media will get very invested. Obviously, people on Twitter or whatever they will as well because there's always going to be minority videos. It's more that there's like there is like a contingent of outlets that are like really. I mean, they're just writing for clicks. I get it. That's fine, but it's this kind of idea that Xbox negativity generates a lot of clicks, which is just a bit frustrating.
Mm.
It is what it is, but it's really frustrating because like Grounded gets announced. Oh, what are Xbox doing to Obsidian?
Yeah,
And then the game was great and everyone loved it. Pentiment gets announced. Oh my goodness, Xbox really are killing Obsidian. Where's Avowed? They've probably cancelled it. But Bleeding Edge came out, the game that had been in development for like 6 years prior to the acquisition. What are Xbox doing to Ninja Theory?
yeah,
Just
it does happen.
and then
Yeah,
and you can feel the same sort of tension around Redfall and Starfield as well.
yeah,
Um,
definitely. There are a lot of
like
eyes on
if
it.
those games don't hit, Xbox will be held responsible,
Oh yeah,
um, rather than the studios, which is
yeah. Oh yeah,
it's
no,
just funny that.
I do agree with you, and there's no doubt in my mind that if the shoe was on the other foot and we bought Bungie and then this happened, and there would be news articles about it and just being like, Xbox fucking
Yeah.
killing Bungie.
Can't manage their own teams. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so you do get that. We are being a little bit salty and we're just poking fun, but genuinely, this would happen if the shoe was on the other foot. So it is quite funny
Yeah.
to just poke fun at it.
Funny old thing. Okay, what time are we on, Tim? How far in the show are we?
We're 43 minutes in.
Okay, we're looking good then. I'm trying to decide what we do. Let's do maybe some of the big stories first then. So if we start right at the bottom of the notes, there was a podcast from Andy Robinson, who's I think he's maybe the lead writer. Can't remember. One of the big boys over at Video Game Chronicle at VGC. And on the podcast, he said that he's the nearest Xbox games after Starfield and Hellblade 2. So Starblade and Hellblade 2 being the closest, is Avowed. Great, good news, right? Woohoo.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
However, Fable is quote unquote miles away, only recently went into full production, and Perfect Dark and Everwild are still not close. And just as a little follow-up for the Fable bit, it's also been heard that with Fable, the term Witcher-like was thrown around a lot.
Mm.
So let's maybe start with the release dates. Starfield and Hellblade 2 coming first, Avowed coming next, and Fable and Perfect Dark and Everwild still, quote unquote, miles away or not close.
Mm. Yeah, I don't think anything here shocks me. I knew that Fable and Perfect Dark were quite a way off. I think the one that probably shocks me the most is Everwild, just because I feel like it's so wild that they announced it so early. Like,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, we heard this game in was it 2020? I think was that E3 where we saw it.
That
2019, 2018 maybe.
I think it was 2019. I'm just going to check now.
Like, my goodness, to announce a game and give it a trailer and say, "Oh, we're working on this," and release it 6 years later potentially is absurd to me. Like, that's crazy. Um, like I thought the silence from the game wasn't necessarily a bad thing. I just thought maybe they're just crunching and they're getting shit done, and then, when it's close to ready, end of 2023 or something like that, we'd hear more from it. But the fact that it's still miles off is a little bit of a shock to me. But Fable and Perfect Dark doesn't surprise me. I knew those games were definitely a stretch to be in 2024. Like, it doesn't surprise me that we would be seeing them to around 2025 plus. But yeah, so
I mean, so I guess there are multiple things I wanted to hit with this story. Because yeah, you're right. I do think you're right. Everwild is the most shocking thing there. I would say. I would say Fable. I'm not too surprised about, nor Perfect Dark, considering that there are two bits of nuance with both of those studios making those games. Fable is coming from a racing game studio who's staffing up, and Perfect Dark is from the Initiative, who is a new studio.
yeah,
Who we know that there's been a bit of trouble with getting that studio ready, because there's been with people leaving as well. So there's just like additional wrinkles with these two games that would make the development process longer. So I guess the first point I wanted to hit on then is, were these games announced too early? Fable was announced in 2020, yeah, with this kind of the showing where we had a lot of games shown, but they were all CGI, alongside State of Decay 2. I'm trying to think what else was shown off there. Contraband. There were others. I can't remember. I think Perfect Dark was 2021. Maybe Perfect Dark was XO20. I can't remember. It was around that time as well. And Everwild was definitely 2019. I've just checked. It was XO19. I remember that.
yeah.
Oh no, Perfect Dark was the Game Awards, I think. Yeah, it was the Game Awards at the end of 2020. Were these games announced too early? Is Phil still got this wrong? Because he said a while back about like trying not to announce games too early, and now we're at this place. Or is this okay because there's a bigger catalog of games filling out these time period? What are your kind of thoughts on that?
I mean, don't get me wrong. I think it's okay. Like, I'm not upset that these games are taking as long as they are, because, like you said, there is a lot coming. So it's excusable in a sense. That these games were announced so early. I do still think they dropped the ball a little bit, though. I do think there's been some internal delays and some internal struggles that have caused them to be this long. I don't think this was anticipated when they first showed them off. But I do think that it's not. I'm not that bummed out, because there's a lot coming. So it's excusable, I think.
Yeah, and obviously the times around the time these games were announced was then when we started to go into COVID. Again, the problem of Playground and the Initiative not being already established teams, I think probably had a disproportional effect on them. Everwild, there was some speculation that the game did undergo a reboot in around 2021. It's not really confirmed, and when we're talking about reboot, that word's a bit nebulous, because it's like, well, what does that mean? Is it starting from scratch, or like concepts are just being, you've gone from maybe pre-production back to conceptual phase, So there has been a bit of controversy around what that kind of means. So yeah, I think you're right. I'm not either, but I've got to say that I do get the sense that maybe they didn't need to go as ham in 2020.
No.
It's difficult though, man, because I think part of the positivity that Xbox has managed to generate this generation so far has been because there's this really positive outlook. Like the narrative, like at the end of the Xbox One gen, went from like, where are the games? There's nothing coming. Now it's not that. It's just like everything's so far away, and we're right on the cusp of that changing. This is the year, I think, where that narrative changes. But I think maybe these delays made that really difficult to manage, that message, that PR message.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, who can predict a global pandemic? I mean, who can predict things like that have slowed?
Bill Gates.
That's true. He did orchestrate everything. I forgot about that.
He
And
did.
he is the leader of
Yeah.
Microsoft. Um,
Yes.
yeah. So you know, these things happen, and you know, potentially, if that never happened, you know, all these announcements they could have come to, like, they could have happened by now. Who knows? You know, potentially, like Fable and Everwild, they might be a little bit further on, you know, and Perfect Dark and all that sort of stuff. You know, we might be looking at early 2024, late 2023. I think regardless, that's still a long time though from when they were like announced back in like 2019. Some of them, I think that's still pretty absurd. It's almost like they were just kind of announcing stuff to just be like, you know, like they were just in a really bad spot, and they were just like, we have stuff, we have title cards, we have things like that. Let's just show that, you know, we got to keep the hook in somehow for these people, even though they knew they were a minimum of still a few years off. So yeah, there probably is an element of that. But I do think that these things have taken internal struggles and hits that were unpredicted and unpredictable as well. Like you physically couldn't have predicted some of these things that have slowed it down.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, just a tricky old thing. It'd be interesting with a bit of retrospective to ask everyone how they felt about that 2020 E3 showcase, because that was one of my favorite Xbox showcases in a while. Even though, right, I mean, even though it was a good show, no, rather even the other way around. Even though a lot of stuff has not materialized yet, it was still a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to just have that much new stuff announced. The only thing that maybe has been a bit more concrete on the first party side of things is Forza. We know Forza's coming this year. We had part of the direct that was announced then as well.
Still no day though.
I think, and there were other things as well. Obviously, you know, like there were. I think As Dusk Falls was there. I think Forza Horizon had released.
I think Minecraft Legends was there as well, which technically came out.
Yeah, Minecraft Legends. Yeah, but we all know it's not these AAA bangers or whatever. Yeah, and I guess maybe as well, like you're saying, like because maybe there was like this kind of internal thought of like, oh, I don't know, like we still need another couple of years, especially now we know what we know about Halo, right? You know, they at the time they hadn't announced the 1 year delay yet. That came later after the reaction to the showcase, but maybe it was kind of in the plan, like, oh, you know, there might be a bit of negative reaction to this, and I think if we could pad that out with like Fable, you know.
Yeah.
And Playground, like, but we haven't. I don't know. We don't know what we're doing yet. Like, fucking put a trailer together.
Yeah, just get a frog to eat a fucking fairy, and that'll keep people going for about 8 years, give or take.
Yeah, that's so much opium.
Yeah.
Avowed, of course. Avowed was that year as well, wasn't it?
Yeah. Literally, like of everything shown that year, we've literally seen like 2 games. Like nothing has come of that showcase. Yeah.
None of the big things.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, sure. We got Minecraft Legends, and we got like probably a Forza Horizon 4. I guess
As Dusk Falls. No, Forza Horizon 5. Forza Horizon 5
is what I meant.
Yeah.
And then technically we got Halo Infinite as well. But apart from that, everything else shown has not seen the light of day. Or a lot of them we haven't even had an update. That's like nothing.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Zero news for about 4 years.
Yeah, that's the problem to me. It's not. I'm okay with you like just announcing tease like CGI teasers. You get one. You can do it once with no date. But like I expect to see this next year. Like if that's where you're gonna leave Mahoch, if you're gonna leave me, you know. Yeah. With blue balls like that, I expect at the very least.
Where are you going with this?
Where am I going with this? And at the very least, I expect a little fondle. Or what are we doing here?
Expect a little bit of pre.
Pre or nothing.
Pre.
So yeah, well, just a fun little thing. Yeah. So overall, I mean, Fable Perfect Dark, maybe not too surprising. I mean, ultimately, nobody's going to care if they're good. I mean, it is crazy that because I remember Fable was like kind of like semi-announced in like 2018. Like Phil got on stage and he was like, "Playground are working on a new RPG," and I thought that was Phil signaling to us, like, oh, this is like, they're like 2 years away.
Mm.
They just started recruiting.
Yeah.
That's how early. And it's like, you didn't need to say that because now by the time this game comes out, it's really going to have been 7 years since. And it also doesn't help that the game was like leaked. Fable was like a really poorly kept secret. We've been speaking about it for like the best part of a decade.
Yeah. Yeah, it's absurd. There's only so long people can wait before you just start to give up. Like, these things do have an expiration date as well. You can't announce stuff too early.
But yeah, it's annoying because I think there is something to be said about like after a certain, like if it's 3 years and you still have anything to say, like actually, yeah, just lock the doors and just stay quiet until you're ready to show something good and meaningful.
Yeah, I don't know. I still think you can have some kind of update, like even if it's just like social media presence and stuff like that. Like, I don't expect trailers or anything like that, but oh no, man, it's literally just been nothing from like everything here.
Yeah,
zero.
I feel you.
Just zilch.
Yeah.
Nada.
I feel you. Okay, and I guess the other side of this, because obviously I think a lot of the Xbox community is really rallying around Avowed as well. And that's I don't really know why in particular. I guess it's just captured. There's a lot of it's ticking a lot of boxes, Avowed, for a lot of people.
Yeah.
There's a lot of confidence in Obsidian, whereas a bit of confidence has slipped with Bethesda Game Studios. It's ticking the RPG dark fantasy box. It's ticking the next gen only box. It's ticking the new IP box. Do you know what I mean? It's really, so you've got a lot of rallying around that in the way that maybe Starfield and Hellblade don't. Obviously they do a lot doing their own things. And that's maybe the next thing coming after Hellblade 2. So Tim, next part of this is like, let's say we're very generously, Hellblade 2 is coming out in holiday end of this year. Wow. Well, firstly, wow.
Yeah.
What a year.
Yeah.
Secondly, when would we be expecting Avowed? Like, are we seeing more of it this year? Imagine that. A couple months in, we could be seeing Avowed gameplay if that's the case.
I do think we will see Avowed this year. I think we'll see gameplay of it this year, and I think we'll see an update of it this year. I don't think we're seeing it till probably. I don't think we're seeing it till probably like mid next year or something like that, like actual like release date or something like that. But I do think they'll show us some stuff this year, like towards the end of this year. Like I do genuinely believe that. I think we'll get a developer direct, and I think Obsidian will show off some stuff and just see how they're getting on. It might be right at the end of the year or something, but I think we'll get something. But yeah, we're not seeing this till halfway through next year, like earliest. No, like another year plus, definitely.
Yeah, no, I think that's sensible, and I think we've kind of said that as the vague time frame for a while, haven't we? That we think Avowed probably is first half 24.
I've been pleasantly hopeful that Avowed is going to turn up in some point, almost every year since I've seen it announced.
Yeah, but logical brain, left brain has been thinking that. Right brain maybe got, emotional brain maybe got the best of you at times.
Yeah, I don't know though. When I saw this in 2019, I was probably thinking that's 2022. I probably wasn't thinking like that's late 2020. That's 2024.
Yeah.
Like, let's be real. Like when you see stuff, you tend to add on a few years max. Like no one was looking at Avowed 2019 and thinking, "Whew, can't wait to play that at midway through 2024." They were like, that's 2023, like latest, right? So it probably has gone on longer than I would have hoped.
Yeah,
but yeah,
and that's definitely, like, to tie this all together, that's like definitely part of the problem of like, if that's the expectation you're creating, it like really lowers excitement levels. If people are watching your show and they're like, "Oh, I'm not playing that until 20 fucking 30," it's like, you know, it just feels like a wet fart. Like it's like I can't really get excited
Yeah,
for that.
exactly. Why are we here? Why are we talking about this?
Yeah. Just fuck off. Go and finish the game.
Yeah, Jesus.
All right, second part of the article, Tim, was the Witcher like was thrown around a lot in terms of Fable. I guess I wanted to touch on this a little bit because I think that's quite interesting. I don't know the context. Maybe if someone knows the context of that a bit more in chat, like I don't know if it's. I'm assuming that's like talking about the combat or maybe like the overall aesthetic. Like I don't know, but it sounds good. You know, obviously, I think Witcher occupies a really nice space in fantasy, but it's very like dark.
Yeah, exactly.
Fantasy, which Fable isn't. So
My issues with that statement is the tone of the game. Like, I hope it's just kind of like combat, like it's Witcher like and it's combat and like that sort of thing. But in terms of like world, enemies, and dialogue and all that sort of stuff, I don't really want it to be Witcher like. I mean, I'd like to have like dialogue options like Witcher. That'd be cool. But I just want the writing to be a lot different. Like, I don't want Fable to turn into a Witcher game in its own world and just like kind of copycat it, but put it in its own world. Fable's not really that. Fable is more goofy. So it's nice to see that in certain respects, but then I also think it's kind of worrying in others, and I hope it's not going down that sort of route because I just don't think that really works for Fable in particular. But we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, like you said, if the toad eating a fairy is anything to go by, you know, I think that we can maybe be reassured that the tone of the game is right. So yeah, maybe it is more combat in the sense that it feels quite weighty. There's like different elements, you know, like chemistry, and then there's like a bit of magic. Because that was also one of the things about like the Witcher system that I think was quite unique, is that magic wasn't really its own thing. It was kind of an extension of like melee combat, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't main magic.
Yeah, but then in Fable in the past, you have been able to like main magic, and I do think it does need to have that sort of high fantasy feel to it as well. Like I do think it'd be weird if they toned down magic, in that game. Like I do think it needs to be a bit over the top in that regard, at least based on the world and what we've seen of it in the past. You know, it's had some pretty crazy spells and magic and stuff like that. So I hope they don't tone that stuff down. You know, I still want it to be pretty wild in that sense. Yeah.
Like the Wild Hunt.
Yeah, we just boot up the game and it's just like the Wild Hunt in Syria. We're like, what is happening?
Fable, the Wild Hunt.
Yeah. Geralt just falls out of the sky into their world. Where am I? What is this?
Yeah.
It's just...
I hate portals.
Yeah.
Fuck's sake, Geralt. Lovely. Okay, where are we at next? I suppose if we touch on the ABK stuff now, and then we can kind of see where we're at for time afterwards. So the big thing, really, well, two big things. The first being that it seems that the EU is looking good. It's looking like a goer. You know, they've seen the Nvidia deal, which, you know, we said last week was a big deal, and it's kind of reassured them that they're taking this seriously, especially in terms of the, you know, not monopolizing the cloud market, which was the EU's biggest concern. That's good. So, you know, it's starting to swing back in Xbox's favor because, you know, for a while we kind of weren't sure and there was a lot going on. But if the EU falls, I think it becomes increasingly difficult for the CMA to justify any more concerns, especially when PlayStation is more dominant in the UK than it is in the EU. And the CMA are making a big deal of like about foreclosure rather than they have highlighted the cloud, but one of the they seem to be placing more emphasis on exclusivity and the console high performance console market, as they like to call it. Conveniently hand waving Nintendo away more so than the EU is. So that was the first part. The second part is that Microsoft's subpoena was mostly successful, so that Sony are going to have to give hand a load of their documents over around exclusivity contracts from 2019 onwards. And Phil also had a lovely interview with Xbox On. Is that the channel, Xbox On? I think it is.
Maybe.
But he's a friendly fella. So let's start with the second story there at the end, because I think we spoke about this a bit in our chat, didn't we? Around PlayStation having to reveal their exclusivity contracts from 2019 onwards. Just for a bit of wider context, Xbox had asked to see everything from 2012 onwards, so essentially the whole of last gen, and they had also asked to see like performance indicators of current executives and previous executives, and that was what had led Sony to be like, this is clear harassment. So that got denied. They're not seeing any performance indicators. I don't know why. I don't understand the rationale for that. And it, they weren't, it's been moved from 2012 to 2019 to present. So overall, this is still being considered a massive loss, a big L for PlayStation. And this is one of those things that I'm like, oh, I wonder if they're starting to regret getting so tangled up in this, because there's going to be some dirt. Like, moreover, they might just be like, yeah, we accept the terms. We changed our mind.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. With this news, they might just be like, yeah, we'll take the 10 years. Thanks. Where's that contract? Blows the dust off it and signs it really quick. Yeah, no, it'd definitely be quite interesting. I'm just trying to think of what potential like money hatting stuff they could have done from 2019 onwards. Obviously, the big one we talked about was Final Fantasy VII, wasn't it? A remake, that was obviously PlayStation exclusive, timed exclusive, 1 year. I'm pretty sure it was 1 year when it first came out. Everyone was like, yeah, it's just a year. We still don't have it. I don't know what's going on with that, but I'm trying to think of some other ones as well, some like other big ones they might have had.
Well, obviously Final Fantasy 15. Oh, 15? Is that the one that's coming out this year?
16 is this year.
16. Then there's things like Knights of the Old Republic, KOTOR remake.
Okay, yes, it's stuff.
Silent Hill.
Yeah.
Actually,
that reminds me.
There's definitely been more. What are you doing?
What's
that noise?
On our fantasy critic, I put
Robbed what?
Nothing. Keep talking.
Robbed what? Which game?
I'm seeing
Tell me.
if I robbed it. Shut up.
Tell me.
Bids will be revealed. Did I get it? Let me have a look.
Get what?
I didn't get it.
Good. What was it? Did I get it?
I don't know. I think I rebid to get Silent Hill 2 remake. And I think I put like 8 on it, but Salmon still got it, so Salmon must have been
nice.
high on it already.
Your boy got Mortal Kombat 12.
Oh, Caden.
Why did nobody challenge me on that?
I thought Caden would have bet on that. I didn't think it was you.
It's because it hasn't been officially announced yet.
Hasn't checked the app. He probably just didn't check the app, if I'm honest.
No, to be fair, I did put a high bet on it because I was sick and fucking tired of idiots coming in, rocking up on Friday in the morning. Oh, what's this? What can I steal? After I've done the hard work, you know what I mean? I'm sick and tired of it. So I put a big bid on it.
Well, I've got to fill another gap because I had to drop what's it called? Wolf Among Us 2. Because that got delayed into next year. Luckily, no one counterpicked it, so I managed to drop it. But now, obviously, I've got more money to spend. So I have to be more careful with my money a little bit because I've still got 3 games to fill. Anyway, that was just tangent when you said Silent Hill remake. You carry on.
Yes. So the 3 Final Fantasies, Knights of the Old Republic. The other one I said, Silent Hill 2. Then there's some other things, Destruction All Stars. Let's obviously not forget about Ghostwire Tokyo or Deathloop.
Ooh,
1 year.
True.
Let's not forget about Forspoken.
But those did
2 years
later, didn't they? Those things.
They did.
Yeah.
But they did. But ultimately, I think Xbox are going to try and make the point that like we haven't done this since Tomb Raider in 2016, and everyone ate us out.
Yeah.
Is that expression?
Well, I mean,
What's
it
the
tends to be a
expression?
good thing. Chewed us out.
Yeah, chewed us out. Thank you.
It's all right. You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks. Godfall was another one. There's just loads. The list is endless. It doesn't matter of the quality.
God,
You know, that's not the point.
That one hurt.
Yeah, God, yeah. The game literally, and that's the thing. The game Godfall came to other consoles and then died like 6 months later, and it's like, how is that not anti-competitive?
Destiny 2 would have some stuff, wouldn't it? Didn't they do some stuff with Destiny 2?
I'm sure they did.
They did stuff with like guns
sure
and shit, wasn't it? Like the Borealis and all that kind of stuff. They had like exclusive content tied to PlayStation, and we didn't get it for like 2 years. Remember that sniper that used to the exotic that like changed elements? You could choose the element on it and stuff. We didn't get that for like 3 years, and then it was just shit by the time we got to it. And no one wanted it.
Yeah, the Hawk Moon was another one, but that that might have even been Destiny 1. I can't remember.
I'm pretty sure it was some Destiny 2 stuff. The Hawk Moon was definitely one, but yeah, regardless.
But maybe I shouldn't be including some of the smaller stuff here, because of course Xbox does timed exclusivity on some smaller indie titles, which I think is fine. That's not a problem. It's more, when PlayStation are aggressive with this stuff, and it's not like it's not like an ethical problem. This
Death Stranding and stuff like that, if that would come into play with it, like just money hatting that with Kojima.
Maybe the problem is that you get into a gray area of like when money and resources are given to a studio to make a game that they otherwise couldn't, versus when a money is just given to a studio to contractually lock it to a PlayStation. Do you know what I mean? And we never have access to that information. We don't know. We can never make those calls. So the people who defend a lot of these decisions will always say, "Oh, well, Final Fantasy, Square Enix, they took the money and then they put it back into their team. So, how's that a bad thing? That's good for competition." Whereas I think, you can think about it on kind of a continuum of like, it depends. It depends. Like if there's time, resources, and things going into a game to help it exist where it otherwise wouldn't, great. If the money's just going towards locking it off, then I think that's more problematic. And Square Enix is a fucking international publisher.
Yeah.
They, and so the list goes on, and there's more that I definitely can't think of. There's definitely other big ones that I'm struggling to think of as well. There are some Japanese games which, I mean, we've assumed it's because the publishers have no interest in publishing it on Xbox, but we don't know if the truth lies somewhere in the middle of like there was some PlayStation kind of involvement of like, look, if anybody tries to approach you, just say no. Like Persona. Neo, none of the Neos ever came. So either way, we're going to have a lot of this cleared up, and I'm really glad about that, because, like I said, it's not strictly an ethical problem. It's just there's no such thing as ethical consumption in capitalism. It's just how it is. But I do think this aggressive strategy is really cruel at times. And people will say, "Oh, well, what's the difference between that and like an acquisition?" I was like, well, I think the answer is pretty obvious. I think with an acquisition, a big publisher's taking them under their wing and they're feeding them with resources, with people, with knowledge, with technology. They're cracking, their resources up to those developers. That's very different from giving Square Enix 100 million and being like, yeah, just don't release it on Xbox. Do whatever you want with the money. You know what I mean?
Just
here's a couple of devs, maybe.
Xbox.
I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, there is a pretty stark difference between the two.
And maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe a lot of these documents will come out, and in every single one of these instances, Sony have provided undying support and resources to all of these studios. I just really doubt it. I just really, really doubt it.
Yeah. Guess we'll have to wait and see. When's all that coming to when's that going to all happen?
I think it's next week,
Okay, quite soon.
And I think you'll remember it was pretty funny that Sony kept delaying the subpoena. They were like, firstly, they were like, we don't want to do this. We don't want to do this.
Yeah.
And then they kept delaying it. They're like, can we wait till next week? And it's just, I've got this really funny image in my mind of Jim Ryan being on the phone and being on his computer, like, yeah. I mean, like, I just don't think we can get it done, as he like drags files into his bin.
Yeah.
On his computer. Yeah. It's like, I just don't think we can like possibly do this. Maybe another week.
Yeah. I don't think we've backed up any of that data. I just don't, I didn't really feel like that's data we needed to keep. So, yeah.
Yeah. Because at one point they were literally like, "Oh, some of it's in Japanese. You might not be able to read it." They said that.
So we just won't
bother. Said that.
They're like, "We can hire a translator." He's like, "Nah, that's just
don't bother.
Don't want to waste their time. It's just not bother."
What are you hiding? What are you hiding that we need to see?
It will be quite interesting. Yeah.
It will. It really, really will. And also, like, the double interesting is one of the judges involved in the case said it's possible that Sony could have obtained a better result through an agreement with Microsoft, because as we know, Sony stopped negotiating with them. But they seem to be back at the negotiating table now. But for like a 2-month stretch, they just were like, nah. They just like blocked the number.
Yeah.
And, so that's fun. One of the other things that we spoke about when I sort of the recap of not recap, like a summary of the show at the beginning was kind of this discussion that if Xbox didn't manage to pull through this acquisition, would they pull out of the console industry? That could either be a pivot to a publisher model, like Sega did, or just sell off all the studios straight up. And I mean, I guess I don't really want to go into this for too long, but because it's kind of been done to death. But like, was this ever like a concern for you at some point? Because I think we did very lightly touch on this like a few months back on this kind of idea of like, would Satya just pull the plug? Would they just be like, I'm not happy unless you get that?
Yeah. Wait. What are we talking about here? The selling off of like certain parts of ABK.
No. Just will Xbox just drop out of the console race if the ABK deal didn't go through?
Oh, I don't think so. I think there's a lot outside of ABK that Xbox is still working with, and I just think maybe they'll just put their money elsewhere. They'll just get something else. I don't know, buy Warner Bros. NetherRealm. I don't know, something like that. I do. They've still got so many studios making so many things. It'd be weird for them to just drop out of the console race. Like I don't even know how that would work. Like,
well, they would just pivot to publisher. In my mind.
Okay. I don't know.
We're just going to stop selling Xboxes.
Yeah, I don't think so. No, I think that's very drastic. No.
Yeah, I do as well. It's strange that some people are still holding that position, like after Xbox literally spent, like an immense amount of money on Bethesda and have put all this effort. But at the same time, Microsoft does do weird shit like that. They make weird fucking decisions. Because Microsoft's primarily like, business, software company, so Xbox is quite a weird angle for like an entertainment. Like Microsoft doesn't really, most of Microsoft's entertainment shit sucks. Like Groove, why was it called Groove? Dead. Yeah. Mixer, why did you acquire Beam, call it Mixer, kill it in 6 months, spend like billions on getting high notoriety influencers on the platform, dead.
Yeah.
Microsoft do weird shit like that. They do, and that does frighten me a bit because I'm like, I just don't think they're reliable. I trust the Xbox team, but the higher ups at Xbox, Microsoft do strike me as psychopaths. Yeah,
and if the decision comes from them, then it doesn't matter what any of the higher ups at Xbox think or argue. It would just be acts, won't they? So yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
They can be quite volatile. Yeah.
That's it. So I mean, no, ultimately, I don't think so. But like, there is this thing in the back of my mind, and you can. I think it's understandable that it's crossed other people's minds. That like, will Microsoft just be like, nah, I'm done with this. This has been a cute little side project for the last 20 years, but we're not winning yet, so we're out.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unlikely, but maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I like, and tying it into the interview that I said Phil Spencer had. He said on that interview that the deal isn't a linchpin for Xbox in the long term. Which I for the most part, I trust Phil. I trust Philly. But also Phil's not going to be there forever. So,
yeah.
Okay, where are we at? Where are we at for time, Timmy?
We are 1 hour 20.
Oh, nice. Okay. Maybe one last story to wrap it up then. Oh, that part of the show, everyone. Probably a bit late, actually. Like the video, please. That'd be great. Subscribe if you're new. Maybe come follow us on Twitter.
Yeah.
Maybe send us your favorite sandwich.
Ooh. I don't eat sandwiches that often at all anymore.
Really? That is sad, man.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, because we do this like HelloFresh thing, and we make like
You don't have sandwich stuff.
Yeah, and we get four portions for every meal, so we have it for dinner and then lunch the next day. So I just don't like. I used to get meal deals. I used to make like chorizo sandwiches at home. I used to make like, like ham, cheese, salads, all that kind of stuff. I literally just don't have bread anymore. I can't. It's really not often
What?
I don't eat bread. Yeah.
What?
I never eat bread. Like genuinely.
That's upsetting.
Maybe once a week, and I genuinely think a lot of the times I don't even do that. Yeah, I just don't eat bread.
That is definitely a downside to like subscription food. That like HelloFresh, obviously, we both have been doing it. I've been doing it for ages. Is that you don't have the need to buy snack stuff as much anymore.
Oh,
which is good. It's good overall.
I still eat crisps.
Oh. But like less meal stuff, like you don't have that stuff ready to go because you're fed. Your meals are sorted.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, for the low price of £7 a meal, delivered to your door. Buy now, get 50% off your first box. Subscribe
Is
to.
Is that true? I don't know if
Quick
this is
Podcast,
true, guys.
Subscribe to Quick Resume Podcast for your first free box on us.
Deck.
$3.99.
Oh. To be fair, I do have a free box to give, so if you subscribe, I'll give you a free box. Send me your email. But I don't think any of what Deck's saying is true. We're not affiliated with HelloFresh in any way.
One day, man. Man, sandwiches. That's crazy. You don't have like a crumpet. It's like you lost your patriotism.
Don't have a crumpet, dude.
That's sad.
No.
Has anybody else, like, we have a lot of American viewers. Have you guys had a crumpet before?
Maybe.
Should we do a poll?
Well, I don't know. We can't wait on someone to respond because there might not be anyone. Just let us know if you've had a crumpet and we'll carry on with the show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or type.
Okay. All right, that's fine. Let me have a look then. Because I've got a couple of things like PC Game Pass is coming to 40 more countries, for example.
That's cool.
Which is great. I didn't know that was so sparse. I didn't know that PC Game Pass was still like not around. It wasn't in Iceland or Egypt.
What? Are you serious?
Or Albania. Yeah, I'm serious, man.
You're telling me they didn't have Games Pass in Egypt?
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, I wouldn't have known, to be fair. I live in my own little world.
What are they playing inside the pyramids?
They're playing Who Killed the Pharaoh.
Yo. The Pharaoh, not the Pharaoh.
Pharaoh. That's what I meant to say. Pharaoh.
Overwatch on the brain.
Justice reigns from above.
Yeah, that's weird. Oh, I guess we can talk about IO. Yeah, let's do that. You know what? We haven't. This is good. No, we've done well for timing. Okay, so Tim, you might remember of all the project code names that have been leaked, courtesy of Jez Corden and Jeff Grubb and whoever else is involved. Sorry if I've forgotten your name. One of them was Project Dragon. If you don't remember, Project Dragon was supposedly a very ambitious shared world RPG, third-person RPG. High fantasy from IO Interactive, developers of Hitman and the upcoming 007 game. And this is supposedly going to be a an Xbox exclusive, big partnership. It seems this kind of got announced. I've like one of these light announcements that game companies do nowadays, where they just say that it's real, come work for us.
Yeah.
And with a little bit of concept art, kind of like what Blizzard did a while back with the survival game. And there's no mention of Xbox here, and this is troubling. I would say this is troubling for me because I think even though I didn't get on with Hitman all that much, I think IO are a very talented team, and I really like the sound, and I like what I'm seeing here in the art. This is right up my alley. This is right up our alley, I would say.
Yeah.
And I like the idea of it being an Xbox game. Ambitious title, like by all means. So the question I suppose that I'm asking is, with this sort of level announcement, does this kind of disconfirm that Xbox are now involved at any level, or is this just like because would have Xbox liked to have had their own announcement to control this, or are Xbox fine with this to then just announce it as a platform exclusive later? This doesn't disconfirm anything. It just says it's coming for consoles and PC. But it.
Yeah. No, I don't think it disconfirms Xbox's affiliation with this, or like it being an exclusive for Xbox or anything like that. Hang on, I got to sneeze.
Go for it, man. It's rough out here. Out here.
So no, I don't think it does at all. I mean, do you feel like them announcing this or sending this tweet or whatever is it without name dropping Xbox is necessarily a bad thing? Like, do you really expect them to be like, our new adventure begins at IO1? What did I just say?
IO1?
IOI.
IOI?
With our friends at Xbox. Do you really expect them to say that? Or like,
I don't know. I guess I don't know if there's a precedent for this sort of thing. Like, I don't know if games have been announced like this before in an exclusive capacity. I don't think they have. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, I don't think
but
so.
At the same time, it's less the existence of this and more the non-existence of an announcement of this at an Xbox stage. Yeah, I know that was quite hard to follow. Did it make sense? Shall I try and rephrase that?
Draw me a fucking map, dude.
that was like metaverse, wasn't it? Level of sentence.
How do I find X? Like, what was that? So
it's less this post. It's less this post and more that it wasn't announced by Xbox.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't think this post in and of itself disconfirms anything. It's more that Xbox haven't been like, our friends at IO are making this game with us. See if they were, or they just waited until E3 for the announcement.
I don't think this is.
I
don't think it's necessarily a negative thing. I think they were just like, yeah, sure. If you want to start recruiting or you want to start doing that, just send one out on your own, like, Twitter account, and then I don't know. I don't really feel like this is necessarily a bad thing, no, or shows that we're not affiliated with it. But...
No, and let's face it as well. Like, if they're just starting to recruit now, we're not going to get an official announcement for this for like 3 years, and by that time, this is going to be a long lost memory, like that this happened. So yeah, I ultimately think I am in agreement with you. I think this could still be an Xbox aligned project. The team just needs to start ramping up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it does look cool.
Or maybe the contract's
I know what you mean.
Still going.
About like the artwork and stuff like that. And I mean, does it when they say like online RPG, are they do they mean like MMO style, or is it kind of like a Division style, a Destiny style? Like sort of
I think it was more Division Destiny.
Okay.
I think that's the idea from leaks. Yeah.
But it looks cool. Yeah, it looks very like high fantasy, World of Warcrafty kind of vibe to it. You can see like elves and staffs and orcs, and it just looks kind of cool. I'm kind of vibing with it from the artwork.
Big agree. there was something really. I'll just quickly move on to this for one of our final sort of stories. I did see something about that came from like a really obscure source that Ori 3 is in development. I haven't put it in the notes because it was really tenuous, but it's just come to mind, so I just thought I'd bring it up. And I'd be interested to hear what the chat thinks about the idea of an Ori 3. Because I don't think it would be Moon Studios, in which case, like, I think, I can't remember that the relationship wasn't all that great by the end of Ori 2 between Moon and Xbox. I might be misremembering that. But even then, we know that they're working on like a AAA Diablo-like.
Yeah.
So there's no way they have the bandwidth. I mean, unless they've staffed up and, I just find it unlikely. And if that is the case, I think Xbox would be fucking insane to try and do a third one without Moon Studios, because the game had such a unique feel to it. And it ended really well as well. It was like a really nice end of a duology that I don't like narratively it really needs nothing more. Yeah. Like if it's a game in the same universe, I mean, maybe, but then it's like, what are we doing here? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think I'm in your little camp here where it's like just leave it as what it is. If it rounded off really well, and ended well, and it's not being made by the same studio or whatever, I just feel like there's no point touching it. Like, is it really worth the risk at that point to soil like the IP and the name, of the games that came before it and stuff like that, just to try and get some more out of the name, and stuff like that. It seems unnecessary to me. If it's not being made by Moon, but yeah, no, it's I'd say leave it.
And as well, like the legacy of it as an Xbox aligned title has kind of been fucked with a little bit, because they've released it on Switch. They've released both of them on Switch, which is like not a problem, I guess. But now we're like past that kind of awkward growing phase of Xbox, and we're now in the phase of like, this is Xbox, this is our ecosystem. We're making exclusives now, And I kind of feel like if they made an Ori 3, that now wouldn't be going to Switch, or would it? Would that be the expectation? In that case, it's kind of like it becomes this kind of flippy floppy thing that's gonna, I think, confuse the community a bit in a lot of ways. So I kind of hope it's not real, unless they have got Moon to come back in and do a third. Which I don't really, again, like narratively, I don't even know how they would for those that have finished the game. You know what I'm talking about. But yeah,
it's potentially just a leave it job, isn't it? Like,
that's right.
It's not worth it, but yeah,
that's literally one of my favorite games ever. One of the worst. So it would just be a damn shame for that to be fucked with.
Yeah.
Okay. The last story, yes, is that Hellblade is starting, or Hellblade 2, the team over at Ninja Theory, are starting up their dev diaries again. They did a couple of these over the last few years, and we know that they're filming in Iceland. Some of the new information that they gave to us was around that they shot in 21 different places in Iceland, and they've got some screenies there on Twitter. You can see them. Might be. Yeah, I mean, it'd be worth, you can Google it if you've got access to your computer right now. They're very good. And what they said, to quote, was, the level of realism that we're aiming for will really help with the immersion of the experience. It kind of stops you from questioning the space that we're in. And I wanted to crack this open. Obviously, Hellblade 2 will probably be the marquee visual showcase for the Series X. Not that Forza Horizon 5 wasn't, or Flight Sim weren't, but in terms of more of a mass appeal game, from a realism standpoint. What does kind of immersion mean to us? Like, because I think we throw around that term quite a lot. Like, generally you hope a game is immersive to some degree, because it facilitates kind of escapism or whatever. But like, is that continuum of like not immersive to very immersive? Like, do you feel that with different games? Like, do you feel less immersed in a game like Overwatch versus maybe more in a game like Hellblade? Or You know,
I
I mean,
do.
what do you think?
I do think so. Yeah, I feel like the level of immersion does differ, depending on how the style of the game and exactly what they're going for. Like, I would not feel immersed playing, like you said, you used Overwatch as an example, or like Borderlands as an example, or something like that. The level of immersion there is zero. I'm having fun. That's great. You know, I don't need immersion in my video game for it to be good, but like I definitely felt a different sense of feeling when I was playing. A good example of this for me was Metro Exodus. When I was playing that
Mm,
game, I was very immersed. You know, the world, it was very slow, sluggish. You know, the world was so detailed. The audio design was great. You know, it was kind of spooky, it was eerie, it was like quiet in a lot of places and stuff like that. And yeah, it just looked like phenomenal from like an actual environmental standpoint and stuff. Like I was quite on edge playing that game a little bit, and when things jumped out at me and stuff like that. So I do think this sort of
because
stuff
the
does,
spiders.
and the spiders, yeah, that mission still haunts me. um but I do think this sort of stuff does, it makes a hell of a difference in a video game, especially if you're making like a single player like narrative kind of feel um, for the game. So yeah, I think that it's pretty fucking awesome what they're doing with all the photorealism and stuff like that, and how they're building all the environments. And I think it's gonna make a hell of a difference with how the game's going to feel to play. Like, I think it'll probably be the best it's ever been done, probably by the looks of it. So yeah,
I think this is really interesting. You know, trying to like operationalize that word a little bit more, you know, kind of pick it apart what we mean when we're saying immersion, because like you said, you know, you broke that down quite well, that like immersion doesn't equal fun all the time. Those are like
no.
different things. I think they're independent of one another. However, there are things like, you know, we're not necessarily just talking about like realism and immersion overlap for sure. But like the way when I was thinking about this, I was just thinking about it on like the graphical fidelity level. But you're absolutely right. Like, you know, realism can come in different senses, can't they? You know, it's not
Mm-hmm.
just a resolution, it's also like game feel and auditory. And I think that's really interesting because that's arguably something that, you know, these PlayStation games have really gotten good at immersion. You know, I would say that The Last of Us Part 2 that I'm playing right now, excellent levels of immersion. Really, you know, and the realism is really good. And we keep talking about this thing of like, does Xbox have some games that compete in that area? You know, the high budget third person action adventures, but maybe the word we're actually looking for is immersive games, right?
Yeah,
Maybe that's kind of the linchpin there.
it's better than
And
sad dad
Hellblade,
games.
better than what?
Sad dad games.
Sad dad games. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that might be a bit. Yeah, it might be a bit reductive, that, but it's funny though, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's pretty funny. I hope Senna meets her dad in Hellblade 2.
yeah, that'd be great. Yeah,
That's really what I want.
and he's sad.
I don't need it to be immersive. But yeah, I mean, you know, it looks like this is definitely going to be that area for Xbox. Because I mean, and honestly, outside of Ninja Theory, I don't like. Are there other games that Xbox are working on that operate the immersive area? And maybe like Bethesda game studio games tend to be quite immersive. I think like Starfield will have a level of immersion. Like Skyrim, I would say they're quite good because you can interact with, you know, all individual objects, and it's quite on the physics side of things. It's quite immersive, I suppose. Is maybe what I'm saying. Redfall, I guess they are. We call them literally immersive sims, don't we? Which is quite funny, but they don't operate. And this is again comes back to what you were saying, not in the graphical fidelity way. They are immersive more in the audio way, in the game feel,
and immersion
and the world design.
Immersion can be anything. Immersion is essentially just you know, being undistracted or whatever, or enjoying yourself playing or experiencing something. I don't know, I'm finding it hard to articulate it, but like, you know, it's immersive. I consider something immersive like fucking Borderlands.
Having a shit.
It is, no, but like Borderlands is immersive in its own way if I can sit down and play it with my friends for 8 hours and I'm like, where did my day go? It's not realism, but it still immersed me. I'm still just like, I forgot to fucking eat dinner, and all I was doing was just looting and doing shit. It's just like, at what point, what is immersion? Immersion comes in any form that just can catch your attention and keep you there, right?
Maybe. I guess to me, yeah, I don't know. I guess to me, immersion is like making you feel you're in the game, and you can be distracted and be in like a heightened state of flow without necessarily feeling like you're in the game. And that's what that word kind of means to me. It feels like you know you're really experiencing what your character's experiencing, or it's closer up that scale. So when you're saying things like playing with your friends for long periods of time, to me, I guess that's more. Game's got a good hook. I don't know how to reduce that to a single word, but I think you all know what I mean. Get fucked. Yeah. So anyway, I'm super excited to see what they can crank out. Some of these screenies look like ridiculous, in the same way that my jaw was on the floor when I saw Forza Horizon and Forza Motorsport. But like we said before, it cranks open that mass appeal angle. Okay, we did it. That's it. We're done for the show. That's good time, right? That's what's that? An hour 35?
Hour 40. Yeah, it's good.
All right, well, that's respectable. Yeah. Okay.
Definitely. Yeah. No, it was good.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very good show.
Okay. Excellent. All right. Well, I meant something. We never heard anything about that Starfield Direct. It's not like a news story or anything, but nothing happened. So presuming that's going to happen next week, so I'll have something to talk about, and I can make my 100th Starfield thumbnail.
Oh, let's go. I'm happy.
Like, I'll try not to just put a piece of fruit as the thumbnail like I did last week.
There's like a star fruit. Just use a picture of like a star fruit.
Dude, that's a fuck. I'm gonna write that down.
Write that down.
Starfield is starfruit confirmed. Yeah. Did you like that? Do you want to hit the jingle while we just have a chinwag?
It is jingle.
Did you like that fucking thing I sent you on WhatsApp?
With the cat, really angry cat. Yeah. It's great.
It's so funny.
I like how it's kind of squished as well. Like it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does look great. I fucking kill you.
Let me see if I can find it.
How about that?
So funny. Can you see that?
It's just a reflection of me. I can only see me.
What? Is that a thing? Is that a real thing? I'm so stupid, man.
You can't see it.
Can you?
I know.
It's you.
It's just me. Hello.
You joking? Is that a thing?
Yeah.
God, I'm dumb.
But no, it was funny.
Oh God, yeah. Let's try one more time.
You can kind of see it, but no, not really. You really can't.
Whatever, man. Yeah, fine. Yeah, it's just how about I fucking kill you? How about that? I don't know.
That is great. It's fucking hilarious.
Oh, wow. All right, ladies and gents, everything else in between. Thanks for coming today. We will be back next week. I'm sure of it. I think actually, sometimes I say that and then I panic that I've just committed to something that I can't do. No, I think I'm here next week. And hopefully we'll have more updates on this whole ABK situation on Starfield, and we won't be deprived. If you liked what you saw today, that's us, or what you heard, do subscribe, do like the video, and we will see you later.
Bye-bye.
I don't know anything.